All right, Raiders Nation, let's get into it. The season has been a roller coaster, and now we're staring at a critical moment that could define the future of this franchise for years to come. Fans across the country are talking about the most nerve-wracking scenario imaginable. What happens if the Raiders actually manage to pull off wins against the New York Giants and the Kansas City Chiefs? At first glance, it sounds like something to celebrate, but when you step back and look at the bigger picture, it might not be as sweet as it seems. Right now, the way the team is positioned, a loss in either game could actually secure the #1 overall pick in the upcoming NFL Draft, a prize that could reshape the organization's trajectory if handled correctly. But winning both? That could throw a wrench into all the plans that have been quietly forming behind the scenes. The conversation I keep hearing in Raiders circles is straightforward. Everyone knows the Raiders are capable of winning, but the real concern is that they might be too good at the wrong time. Think about it. If the team beats the Giants, a franchise that has struggled to find consistency all season, and then somehow takes down the Chiefs, a team that has its own set of challenges, but still plays with a level of dominance at home, the immediate reaction would be celebration. But then comes the long-term impact. Missing out on that top pick in the draft, losing the prime opportunity to select a franchise quarterback, and potentially forcing a rebuild that could have been easier with more draft capital. Fans, players, and even coaching staff all have stakes in this scenario, and the tension is palpable. Let's break it down. Looking at the Giants, they have struggled all season, sitting at 2 wins and 13 losses. Their strength of schedule isn't overwhelming, but every game matters at this point in the year. The Raiders facing them might seem like a guaranteed opportunity for a win, but as we've seen throughout the season, nothing in football is guaranteed. Momentum shifts, player performance fluctuates, and even the underdog can rise on any given Sunday. If the Raiders manage to win this game, it might feel like a relief at first, but then the next hurdle appears: the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are 6-9, a team with talent and the kind of experience that can turn games around quickly. Recently, they suffered a significant loss to the Tennessee Titans, but that doesn't erase the fact that even a struggling Chiefs team is formidable. Now, consider what winning both games would mean. The Raiders would be looking at the draft, not at the top pick, but potentially at the 7th overall spot. Suddenly, the easy path to securing a quarterback of the future disappears. The simplicity of having the 1st overall pick, the ability to pick a true franchise cornerstone, vanishes into the complexities of draft strategy, trades, and limited options. It's a situation that could lead to major organizational questions. Do you try to trade up? Do you settle on a quarterback in a later round and hope for development? Or do you stay put and hope that free agency can fill gaps that should have been addressed with draft capital? Each of these paths carries risks, and the ripple effect touches every corner of the team. The strength of schedule calculations only add to the tension. Teams like the Browns, Jets, Cardinals, Titans, and Commanders each have varying records and remaining matchups that could influence draft positioning. The Browns, for example, have a history of inconsistency that could cost them critical games, while the Jets face 2 powerhouses in the Patriots and Bills, making their chances slim. The Cardinals travel to face challenging opponents on the road, while the Titans' schedule pits them against strong playoff-contending teams. The Commanders also face a series of tests that could determine whether they finish above or below the Raiders in the final standings. In theory, if all these teams stumble while the Raiders manage to win their next 2 games, the result is a draft position that is lower than fans might have hoped for, potentially the 7th pick, which changes the entire landscape of off-season planning. This is where strategy, foresight, and organizational vision come into play. Winning the next 2 games might feel like a victory in the moment, but the long-term cost could be significant. For a team with so many missing pieces on both sides of the ball, saving draft capital is essential. Whether it's building the offensive line, adding weapons for a young quarterback, or shoring up the defense, each draft pick carries enormous weight. Missing out on the top pick forces the front office into tough decisions. Do you trade for a quarterback who fits your system? Do you select a developmental prospect in the later rounds? Or do you double down on existing players and hope they evolve into the solution? None of these options are ideal compared to having a guaranteed opportunity to pick the number one player in the draft. Then there's the human element. Players like Max Crosby, cornerstones of the team's identity, may find themselves in a situation where frustration grows if the path to a championship-caliber roster becomes more complicated. Conversations about trades or changes in the roster might gain momentum simply because the strategic advantage the team had hoped for has shifted. Fans and analysts alike will debate the consequences of winning versus losing at this point. And while the wins are exciting, they might actually trigger the need for deeper structural decisions to ensure the franchise remains competitive in the coming years. The question that looms over every decision is simple. Which path gives the Raiders the best shot at long-term success? The answer isn't straightforward. Beating the Giants and Chiefs might feel like progress, but in the context of building a team that can compete consistently at the highest level, it could complicate matters. Losing strategically, while counterintuitive to the average fan, may provide the opportunity to select a quarterback who can lead the team for the next decade, acquire additional assets through trades, and establish a more balanced roster. It's a delicate balancing act, where the immediate thrill of a win clashes with the strategic vision for the future of the franchise. As we approach the end of the season, every game becomes a chess match, not just in terms of XS and OS on the field, but in the broader strategic game that determines the fate of the Raiders for years to come. The decisions made in the next few weeks, how the team approaches these critical matchups, how the front office positions itself for the draft, and how players respond under pressure, will reverberate far beyond the current season. For fans, it's a mix of excitement and anxiety, a reminder that football is as much about planning for the future as it is about winning today. The reality is, the Raiders are sitting at a pivotal crossroads. Wins against the Giants and Chiefs could inadvertently set them on a path that makes acquiring a top-tier quarterback more challenging. Meanwhile, losses could secure that coveted number one pick and open doors to options that might have seemed out of reach just weeks ago. Every decision, every play, every game carries more weight than usual. It's not just about the scoreboard. It's about the trajectory of the franchise, the potential for transformative moves, and the delicate balance between short-term excitement and long-term stability. Now, let's take a closer look at the situation from the Raiders' perspective and why this season-ending scenario is creating so much buzz among fans and analysts alike. Winning against both the New York Giants and the Kansas City Chiefs is no small feat on paper. It might seem plausible, especially given the Raiders' potential and flashes of talent we've seen throughout the year. But the consequences of pulling off victories in these last two games could actually place the team in a more complicated position for the offseason. It's a rare paradox in professional sports. Winning can feel like progress, but sometimes progress in the standings doesn't equate to progress in the long-term vision for the franchise. Take, for example, the question of draft positioning. If the Raiders were to win both remaining games, the calculation suggests that the team would fall to the 7th overall pick in the NFL draft. That number might not seem dramatic at first glance, but in the world of football strategy, it is monumental. Missing out on the number 1 overall pick means losing a chance to secure a quarterback with the potential to change the trajectory of the franchise for years. Instead of having a guaranteed option, the Raiders would be forced to navigate a more crowded field, competing against other teams with similar needs for a quarterback and juggling the limited resources available to build around that player. The quarterback situation is the heart of this discussion. With the 7th pick, the Raiders must weigh their options carefully. Drafting a quarterback later in the first round, or even in subsequent rounds, carries inherent risk. Developmental projects are uncertain, and the learning curve in the NFL can be steep. Alternatively, trading for a quarterback in the offseason could require giving up significant assets, further complicating the team's ability to strengthen other areas of the roster. Free agency is another option, but elite quarterbacks available in that market are rare, and signing one comes with its own set of challenges, including contracts, fit with the system, and long-term potential. The decisions here are complex and carry ramifications that could affect the team's competitiveness for multiple seasons. Looking at the broader draft landscape, teams like the Giants, Browns, Jets, Cardinals, Titans, and Commanders all have outcomes that directly influence where the Raiders land. The Giants, sitting at 2-13, are clearly struggling, and if they lose to the Raiders, their record could dip even further, effectively locking them in at the top pick. Meanwhile, the Browns and Jets have challenging matchups that make their remaining wins uncertain. The Cardinals face tough road games against elite opponents, and the Titans have a demanding schedule that could see them drop key contests. The Commanders, though showing flashes of competitiveness, face a late-season gauntlet that might prevent them from climbing higher in the standings. If all these teams stumble and the Raiders win both games, the 7th pick becomes the likely outcome, a position that shifts the strategy and priorities of the franchise. This is not just about numbers and standings. It's about the philosophy of team building. The Raiders have needs across both offense and defense. Every draft pick is an opportunity to fill gaps, add depth, and bring in young talent capable of contributing immediately or developing into future stars. Falling to the 7th pick complicates this because the most elite talent at quarterback is already off the board, and other key positions may require creative solutions through trades or later-round selections. It's a delicate balancing act, and one that requires precise decision-making from the front office to ensure that the team does not compromise its long-term vision while trying to compete in the present. Now, let's talk about the human element. Max Crosby, a cornerstone of the Raiders' defense and a player with immense impact on the field, could find himself in a situation where frustration mounts if the team's path forward becomes unclear. The idea of a potential trade scenario for a player of his caliber is not just hypothetical. It's a realistic discussion that emerges when a team's draft positioning and strategic priorities are disrupted. Winning these next 2 games could inadvertently create tension within the roster, as players and management reassess goals, expectations, and the route to sustained success. The conversation about trades, contracts, and roster adjustments becomes unavoidable if the top pick is no longer within reach. The quarterback strategy is particularly compelling because it intertwines with nearly every other aspect of roster management. If the Raiders do not secure the number 1 overall pick, they must explore alternatives. One path could be drafting a quarterback in a later round, someone with potential but requiring development and patience. Another option involves leveraging draft capital and assets to trade for a quarterback who fits the system and the team's long-term plans. There is also the free agency route, where finding a quarterback who can lead the team effectively is uncertain and expensive. Sticking with the current quarterback might seem safe, but it risks stagnation, as fans and analysts have repeatedly highlighted. Each of these options carries benefits and drawbacks, and the timing and execution of any decision will significantly influence the team's future. Then there's the strategic lens of wins versus losses. It may seem counterintuitive, but losing strategically at this point in the season could actually be more beneficial for the franchise than winning. Securing a top draft pick ensures access to elite talent, particularly at the quarterback position, which can serve as the foundation for the team's rebuilding efforts. Conversely, winning both games may generate short-term excitement, but could force the team into complex negotiations and trades to fill the same gaps that would have been more easily addressed with a higher draft pick. The tension between immediate gratification and long-term planning is acute, and it underscores the importance of precise decision-making by the coaching staff and front office. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are growing louder in the NFL world as TYREEK Hill, the electrifying wide receiver known for his game-breaking speed and highlight reel plays, is reportedly on the verge of joining the Las Vegas Raiders. Sources close to the matter suggest that Hill's potential move could mark the single largest acquisition in the franchise's history, a gamble that could instantly reshape the Raiders' offensive identity. While no official announcement has been made, insiders hint that the Raiders' front office has been working tirelessly behind the scenes to secure the deal, seeing Hill not just as a star player, but as a transformational figure capable of energizing a fan base hungry for excitement. Hill's arrival in Las Vegas would bring an entirely new dimension to the team's passing attack. Known for his explosive speed, uncanny route running, and ability to make defenders look slow in open space, Hill could instantly elevate the Raiders' aerial game. Speculation suggests that pairing him with the team's current quarterback could create one of the most feared duos in the league, forcing defenses to rethink their strategies every time the ball is snapped. Analysts are already debating how his presence might influence the team's play calling, imagining trick plays, deep ball threats, and quick slants that exploit Hill's agility and acceleration. Beyond the XS and OS, Hill's reported move carries massive implications for the Raiders' broader strategy. The franchise has long been criticized for inconsistency and a lack of marquee signings, but bringing in a player of Hill's caliber could signal a shift toward bold, headline-grabbing acquisitions. Rumors suggest that the front office is banking on his star power to boost ticket sales, merchandise revenue, and national attention. Fans have taken to social media to speculate wildly, with some imagining Hill already scoring improbable touchdowns in the team's iconic silver and black uniform. Of course, as with any major NFL rumor, questions abound. Will Hill fit seamlessly into the Raiders' locker room? How will the team's salary cap handle the addition of such a high-profile player? And perhaps most importantly, can the Raiders leverage Hill's talents to become legitimate championship contenders, or will this move end up being an expensive gamble? Despite the uncertainty, the mere possibility of TYREEK Hill donning the Raiders' colors has sent shockwaves through the league, and insiders say the energy surrounding the potential signing is unlike anything the franchise has seen in decades. If the deal comes to fruition, it wouldn't just be a signing, it would be a statement. The Raiders would be telling the NFL world that they are willing to chase superstardom, embracing risk and reward in equal measure. And for fans, the tantalizing thought of Hill's blazing speed streaking down the Las Vegas turf might just be enough to believe that the team is finally on the verge of something extraordinary. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.